From the moment you meet her, she's already observing you. Not with words, not with casual glances, but with a quiet, instinctive measurement of who you are beneath the mask you wear. She notices the subtleties that escape most men, the way your gaze lingers without neediness, the way your voice carries calm authority even when uncertainty whispers beneath the surface. Most men never grasp that women are not moved by charm words or gestures alone. They are moved by the gravity you carry, the invisible weight of a man who has mastered his impulses, who answers the world before the world asks. This unseen gravity forms the axis around which her attention spins. You may try to impress, to tell stories, to display intellect, humor, or wealth, but these are fleeting sparks. She's not drawn to sparks. She is drawn to the quiet inevitability of a man whose presence commands respect, whose patience creates space for curiosity to grow, whose emotional steadiness becomes the landscape upon which her instinctive desire unfolds. By the time you realize this, many men are lost in the distraction of her moods, lost in the false game of approval and pursuit. She does not evaluate you solely in the moment, nor measure you by what you say. Her mind, calibrated by instinct and experience, tests the consistency of your actions, the boundaries you maintain, the unshakable core you reveal without pretense. She projects, analyzes, and discerns, often unconsciously, the truth of your character before you attempt to reveal it. The tragedy for most men is that they are oblivious to this silent scrutiny, mistaking fleeting attention for genuine attraction, failing to see that the law she obeys is unspoken, yet governs every pulse of curiosity, every flicker of interest. You are not here to chase or perform. You are here to embody a truth that calls her attention naturally. She senses immediately the difference between desperation and composure, volatility and steadiness, clinging and detachment. When she feels this gravity, she probes, testing your response, seeking confirmation that what she senses is real. Many men falter here, reacting reflexively, betraying uncertainty, diminishing their perceived value in the subtle, ruthless calculus of attraction. The one truth most men learn too late is that she does not fall for the surface of charm, but for the depth of mastery over self. Imagine her watching quietly as you navigate the world, unaware that every decision, every measured pause, and every refusal to be hurried forms a silent language of authority. Women sense patterns, not logic, instinct, not argument. She interprets the way you manage time, attention, and emotion, and in her mind, begins to assign a narrative. You are either a man whose presence reassures and intrigues, or one whose insecurity triggers dismissal. Every act of calm detachment, every silent confidence, every unspoken boundary adds weight to your gravitational pull, drawing her closer not through manipulation, but through alignment with a principle she cannot articulate. Consistency breeds desire, restraint fosters curiosity, and mastery over self radiates attraction. Desire is not a transaction. It is a perception, a subtle alignment of energy, and a response to the integrity of your internal world. She watches, calculates, responds to invisible cues that betray the truth of your character. By the time most men awaken to this, she has already encoded your worth in the architecture of her attention. The lesson, the singular truth invisible to the naive, is that the foundation of attraction is not what you say, nor what you give, but the gravitational pull of a man whose interior life commands presence, respect, and silent fascination. And so you watch her, feeling her evaluation without panic, observing her patterns without attachment, understanding that each test, each subtle shift in attention, is not an obstacle but a mirror. She reveals to you the depths of your composure, the limits of your patience, and the fidelity of your self-mastery. In this mirror, you see not only how she perceives you, but how much of yourself you have allowed to fracture through need, expectation, and fear. Most men never reach this point, the point where understanding women becomes inseparable from mastering oneself. Only then does the truth crystallize. She will not love you for what you show her, but for the steadiness, gravity, and clarity she perceives in the man who stands before her, quietly, fully, unshakably. You begin to notice the patterns of her attention, subtle but undeniable. Every pause in her speech, every micro-expression, every calculated withdrawal of warmth, is part of a language written not in words, but in instinct. She tests the boundaries of your composure, and she measures the depth of your presence against the fleeting distractions of the world. When you remain unwavering, when your calm is unbroken and your patience absolute, she cannot help but take notice. It is not about winning her favor or earning approval. It is about embodying the kind of man who commands respect through his mere existence. The patience to observe without reacting, the strength to hold your center while the world spins around you, the capacity to engage without attachment. These are the qualities that silently draw her in, that awaken a curiosity she cannot name, that spark desire that grows not from charm, but from gravity. And in understanding this, you understand yourself. You learn that mastery over women is inseparable from mastery over self, that attraction is the reflection of internal equilibrium, and that the one truth most men learn too late is that the woman is never the prize. The prize is the clarity, composure, and quiet power you bring to her presence. She will test you subtly in ways you may not immediately recognize. A withdrawn glance, a shift in tone, a fleeting expression of doubt, these are not accidents. They are the instinctive measures of a mind attuned to patterns and consistency. You will feel the pull to react, to explain, to justify. But this is precisely where the test lies. She is measuring whether you are anchored or adrift, whether your center can hold under the subtle pressures of attention and withdrawal. Your response is not in words, but in presence. In the patience to wait, the clarity to observe, the calm to respond with measured alignment rather than reactive impulse. Every micro-decision becomes a lesson, every interaction a reflection of the depth of your internal authority. In her eyes, you become either the man whose gravity is undeniable, whose presence is compelling, or the one whose energy dissipates under scrutiny, leaving no trace beyond the superficial. And so you learn that women are not obstacles to be overcome or prizes to be won. They are mirrors reflecting the truth of your mastery over self. The depth of her attention is contingent upon the depth of your composure, the subtlety of your restraint, and the unshakable integrity of your presence. Most men miss this entirely, entangled in surface-level pursuits, chasing fleeting acknowledgement rather than cultivating the internal gravity that naturally commands desire. By understanding this, you begin to see not only how she perceives you, but how you have allowed yourself to be shaped by need, expectation, and fear. The path to true attraction is not external. It is an internal alignment, a mastery of presence and self that radiates subtly, irresistibly, and inevitably. She is never impressed by what is easy to see. What captivates her is what lies beneath, the hidden strength, the silent decisions, the unspoken code you live by without fanfare. Every man presents himself in fragments, a confident exterior, a clever joke, a moment of charm, but she scans the whole, sensing what is authentic and what is constructed. She notices the micro-patterns, the invisible habits that reveal the truth of your self-mastery. When you act from a place of composure rather than reaction, she feels it instinctively. When you maintain boundaries that others crumble under, her curiosity shifts from casual interest to genuine intrigue. She is drawn to consistency because it signals reliability, depth, and the unshakable presence of a man who does not bend to external whims. You begin to recognize that attraction is not a product of effort, but of alignment. She watches the way you navigate the social landscape, the way you respond to tension, the way you carry yourself when unnoticed. Each subtle choice communicates far more than words ever could. Your patience, your refusal to chase approval, your calm observation, all of these are invisible magnets pulling her attention closer. The most dangerous error a man can make is to assume her interest is a given. Curiosity, desire, and respect are earned silently, moment by moment, through the integrity of your inner life. She tests, she observes, she withdraws, but not arbitrarily. Everything she does is measured against the consistency, gravity, and self-command she senses in you. There is a rhythm to her evaluation, a silent cadence that few men perceive. It is the cycle of approach and retreat, attention and withdrawal, testing and measurement. Each subtle pause she allows, each glance she grants, is part of a psychological feedback loop, designed not to manipulate, but to discern. She seeks the man who can withstand uncertainty without faltering, who can remain anchored while the currents of emotion flow unpredictably around him. In this, she reveals the ultimate mirror, The depth of your self-mastery will dictate the intensity of her engagement. If you react, if you grasp, if you seek approval, the loop collapses. If you remain steady, if you watch without attachment, if you operate from clarity and calm, the loop expands, drawing her curiosity, fascination, and desire into a slow, inevitable orbit around you. You must understand that women do not merely respond to presence, they measure it. She gauges how you manage your energy, your attention, and your emotions. Every minor act of patience, every withheld reaction, every careful choice of words signals depth. She senses patterns of strength and weakness, of clarity and chaos, and she calibrates her instinctive desire accordingly. The more unshakable your inner authority, the more gravitational your presence becomes. She does not consciously calculate this, yet it governs her attention with the precision of instinct. And this is where most men fail. They mistake temporary attention for enduring attraction. They confuse superficial charm for genuine gravitational pull. The woman's mind operates in layers, each behavioral cue a thread in a complex tapestry of perception. Only a man who understands this and acts from a foundation of unwavering composure can occupy the space where desire naturally emerges. Consider her silence when she tests you. In that moment, she's reading your response, not just for what you say, but for what you carry internally. Will you cling? Will you over-explain? Will you betray uncertainty? Or will you remain anchored, observing, patient, aware? Her respect is conditional on this display of self-command. Her curiosity is contingent upon it. By maintaining equilibrium, you create an invisible architecture upon which fascination can build. She cannot articulate why she is drawn to such presence, only that it commands attention, that it resonates on an instinctive level she cannot ignore. Here lies the singular power of a man who has mastered himself. Attraction becomes a natural byproduct, effortless yet compelling, subtle yet irresistible. You begin to perceive that her reactions are mirrors to your internal state. When she withdraws, it is not rejection, it is a test of your composure. When she observes silently, it is not disinterest, it is an opportunity to demonstrate self-mastery. Her mind constantly evaluates patterns, inconsistencies, and signs of internal authority. She is less interested in words than in the integrity of your presence, less swayed by charm than by the gravity of self-possession. Your challenge is not to force desire, but to embody it. By doing so, you create a psychological resonance that she cannot ignore, a magnetic field in which her curiosity and respect converge naturally. Understand this. Desire, respect, and fascination are earned through the mastery of invisible signals. It is not in grand gestures or overt displays, but in the subtle consistency of your choices, the patience with which you observe, and the calm authority you radiate without effort. She senses instability immediately, and it repels. She senses composure and patience, and it attracts. The distinction is invisible to most men, yet decisive. This is the hidden architecture of female psychology. The world she observes is a reflection of the internal world you project. By mastering yourself, by holding center in the face of subtle tests and withdrawals, you engineer the conditions under which her fascination flourishes. Every interaction, every glance, every unspoken moment becomes a measure of your internal clarity. She reads the tension you resist, the calm you sustain, and the patience you practice. These invisible signals accumulate, layering into a gravitational force that draws her attention with quiet inevitability. You are no longer just a man in her presence, you become a standard, a measure, a reference point against which all others are compared. Her curiosity is no longer fleeting. It is anchored, expanding, deepening, and entwining with the reality of who you are at your core. This is the one truth most men learn too late. Fascination is not won. It is radiated through the disciplined mastery of self, a gravity that cannot be feigned, and a presence that cannot be rushed. In observing her patterns, you see the reflection of your own mastery. Every test she administers, every withdrawal, every glance is a mirror. The depth of her attention is contingent on the depth of your calm, the integrity of your internal architecture, and the unwavering steadiness of your presence. This is not a game of words or gestures. It is a silent, profound measurement of your character. The stronger your internal gravity, the more her instinctive curiosity is awakened. And the more her attraction becomes a natural, inevitable response to the integrity you embody. In this understanding, the lines between observing her and mastering yourself blur. Attraction becomes not a pursuit but a reflection, a consequence of the strength, clarity, and composure you cultivate silently, deliberately, and without compromise. By now, you understand that fascination is not a surface effect, nor is attraction a fleeting reaction to charm or humor. It is the inevitable result of internal alignment, the reflection of a man whose clarity, composure, and restraint are unassailable. She does not need to be convinced. She responds instinctively. Every subtle withdrawal she offers, every micro-expression she presents, is an invitation to reveal your steadiness, your gravity, and your mastery over self. In these moments, most men flinch, compensate, or attempt to fill the void with words, gestures, or validation. You do not. You remain anchored. You observe without attachment. You act only from principle. It is this invisible architecture of calm authority that transforms curiosity into fascination, observation into respect, and presence into irresistible magnetism. She measures time differently than you. Where men count minutes, she counts consistency, patience, and the fidelity of your internal state. Every small decision accumulates into a larger signal, invisible yet undeniable. When you respond to life with measured composure, when you resist the pull of immediate gratification, when your presence is calm and unwavering despite her subtle probes, she senses it. Her mind aligns not consciously, but through a sequence of instinctive evaluations that measure trustworthiness, strength, and depth. And because you are anchored, because you embody a quiet inevitability, she begins to recalibrate. Curiosity deepens, attention sharpens, desire emerges, not from anything you have done externally, but from the unshakable internal equilibrium you radiate. You see, the profound truth most men never grasp is that women do not fall for charm, words, or effort. They fall for internal mastery made visible through action, silence, and presence. Your value is not in what you chase, but in what you allow yourself to radiate without force. Every reaction you resist, every boundary you uphold, every moment of calm observation constructs an invisible framework upon which fascination grows. She senses patterns, and she measures the reliability of those patterns against the chaos of her own impulses. In your steadiness, she finds both challenge and reassurance, a combination that triggers instinctive attention, the deep curiosity that men often mistake for mere attraction. It is far more than attraction. It is acknowledgement of presence, recognition of authority, and the magnetic pull of a life lived without compromise. Her tests are subtle, almost imperceptible, yet relentless. A delayed reply, a glance withheld, a quiet challenge. These are not manipulations, but instinctive calibrations. She observes whether you bend, whether you react, whether your inner gravity wavers. The moment you flinch, the moment you respond with desperation, the loop collapses. The moment you remain anchored, observing and acting from clarity, it expands exponentially. She begins to perceive not only your composure, but the depth of your self-mastery, the integrity of your internal architecture, the invisible strength that sustains every choice, every pause, every glance. She begins to see the man who does not chase approval, who does not bend under fleeting emotions, who does not seek validation through effort, but simply commands attention by the weight of his presence. You realize then that attraction is not a transaction, but a mirror. She reflects what you carry inside. She projects onto you not only curiosity and desire, but also the recognition of mastery, composure, and internal clarity. Her fascination is a consequence of your alignment. Her respect is the inevitable result of your steadfastness. And her desire, though instinctive, is entwined with the perception of your gravity, subtle, invisible, irresistible. You begin to see the pattern in everything. Every reaction she offers, every pause, every subtle engagement is a measurement of your internal authority. And in this realization, you are no longer playing a game, you are living truth. There comes a moment in this silent exchange where she can no longer deny it. She is compelled not by words, not by gestures, not by superficial charm, but by the unshakable internal presence you carry. Her attention locks, her curiosity intensifies, and her instinctive desire aligns with the gravity you emanate. It is not seduction in the conventional sense, it is recognition. Recognition of mastery, recognition of calm, recognition of a man whose internal world is fully realized, whose composure cannot be shaken, whose patience is absolute, and whose presence commands unconscious attention. The very air shifts around you. The smallest movement, the slightest glance, resonates with authority. She cannot help but notice, cannot help but respect, cannot help but respond. This is the ultimate truth, and it is why most men learn it too late. Attraction is a reflection, a consequence, a mirror of self-mastery. Women respond to depth, consistency, patience, and internal gravity. She is a mirror, reflecting not only her desire but your mastery of yourself. The stronger your presence, the more measured your actions, the more unwavering your internal authority, the more her attention, curiosity, and desire converge inevitably upon you. You have not coerced, persuaded, or manipulated. You have embodied. You have become the man whose internal gravity cannot be ignored, whose presence radiates inevitability, and whose clarity reshapes the dynamic without effort. By the time this is clear to you, she has already made her decision, not with words, not consciously, but instinctively. She is drawn, intrigued, fascinated, and aligned with the man who has mastered himself. She cannot articulate why, she cannot name the principle, yet she responds irresistibly to it. And in understanding this, you realize the greater truth. Her fascination is not about her. It is about the reflection of your mastery, your composure, your presence. The lesson is mythic in its clarity. To be irresistible, to command attention, to elicit desire, one must first command oneself. Every glance she grants, every pause she allows, every subtle test she presents is a measure of your gravity. And when you meet it with calm, clarity, and unwavering composure, fascination becomes inevitable, respect unavoidable, and attraction a natural reflection of the man you are inside. You are no longer chasing. You are no longer performing. You are anchored, steady, and aligned. You have become a standard, a measure, a presence whose gravitational pull cannot be ignored. She observes, she calibrates, she reacts, but all of it mirrors the truth of your internal mastery. And in that mirror, you see yourself unflinching, fully present, and fully realized. A man whose depth commands attention, whose calm radiates desire, and whose internal authority transforms fleeting curiosity into lasting fascination. The one truth most men learn too late is this: mastery of self precedes mastery of attraction, presence precedes attention, and the gravity you carry determines the desire you evoke. Everything else is ephemeral. Everything else is noise. And when you understand this, you become inevitable.